In Marvel Rivals, it can be incredibly difficult to carry, but if you find an amazing duo partner or trio, you can carry almost any game. This is because characters together get way more value than characters separated. There's an amplifying effect, especially when we talk about synergies that massively give characters huge benefits. And in this video, we're going to talk about the best duos that you can play, not just with synergies, but also just combos that you could run in your games to get so many free wins, it's actually insane. But if you haven't already, check out the Marvel Rivals Academy because I'm actually so excited that so many students have been enjoying learning and getting better at Marvel Rivals. Notably, our coach scrims have been incredibly popular where we run a private scrim where voice chat is mandatory and you're going to get coaching after every single game and everyone is trying extremely hard to play well and improve. And you can take all that knowledge back to your games and just slaughter the competition because you get tons of experience. Combine that with consistent coaching classes, including my class that I run every single week, and a free month trial. You can cancel it if you don't enjoy it, but I think you're actually gonna love it. Links in the description down below. Now, the first duo we got to talk about is Thor plus Hela. Now, I do understand that the Loki synergy is added into this synergy, and I think Loki would be a good third character to run, but mainly this Thor-Hela synergy is just completely busted, and something that you should really run every single game that you can play Hela without it getting banned, or Hela is not banned. And here's the reason why. Every time Hela gets a final blow on an enemy, Thor's gonna come back at almost full HP, over 400 HP. He's just popping back and resurrecting. If he dies again, and Hela gets another kill, guess what? He resurrects again. So Hela can basically constantly resurrect a tank in the enemy backline over and over and over again. If that sounds busted, it's because it freaking is. Now, here's the trick though. Hela has to be able to land these shots and get these final blows, but that's the thing, is that when Thor and Hela play really well together, and they don't really focus on what the rest of the team is doing, they only focus on enabling each other, a Thor could even hyperextend at somebody, get them extremely low, even if he dies, and the Hela finishes them off, he'll just resurrect again. And not to mention, if the Thor is alive, and the Hela does get that kill while he's still alive, Thor does get a little small health bonus, so it's still nice. It allows them to kind of sustain themselves without the need of other supports kind of enabling them. But really, being able to do this can turn a fight, because imagine a situation where, you know, Thor goes in really aggressively, Hela gets someone weak, Thor finishes them off, he goes all in on someone else, gets them to 1 HP, and then dies. The Hela finishes that person off, Thor comes back alive, and then they just get to pinch the rest of the team. Super strong, and yeah, I mean, this is one of the most powerful duos that you could possibly run. I think mainly because people always perma-banned Hela last season. Now Hela isn't being banned every single game. We're starting to see Hela seeing play more, and people kind of forgot how busted this combo is, especially with Thor also being buffed, being a bit stronger. Now this synergy is just insane. And Loki's also played a lot too, so you're just gonna get like 2 people alive with 1 final blow as Hela. It's just freaking nuts. I really cannot stress it enough. If you want to climb, find yourself a duo of this type. Really good Hela, like someone that can aim really well. Find a Thor player, Thor's find Hela players, just carry. It's so nuts. Now, the next duo that I gotta talk about is actually a duo that does not even have a synergy, and it's Groot plus Moon Knight. And the reason that this is so strong right now is that if you Groot ult people all together, they're typically gonna pop a defensive ultimate, right? But then Moon Knight can pop his ult, and it will kill them even if they're using a defensive ultimate. So, yeah, enemies will pop like a Luna Snow ultimate, and you'll still kill everyone inside with the Moon Knight ultimate because they're trapped there, and it does so much damage it just overkills them. That's so freaking strong. But here's the thing that you got to make sure to do. You got to make sure that y'all are always syncing up. I know it's kind of like, it feels like you should just use your ultimate and not waste it, but the Moon Knight's going to charge it up a little bit faster than the Groot, and you don't want to use your Moon Knight ult when you have the combo set up, especially if you're not guaranteed to kill people, because if you use it and you don't win the fight, then you could be off pace with the Groot could ult, and then you don't have your ult. It's really awkward. So you just want to kind of force this duo synergy over and over again. That being said, when the Groot ults, you want to make sure that you're just going to apply a lot of damage inside as Moon Knight, and not pop your ult immediately every single time unless you're guaranteed to cap like a core objective. If you're going to cap a core objective and actually like change the spawns, then sure, just fire it away. It doesn't matter. But if you're not, you don't want to pop the Moon Knight ult in the chance that they just decide to not pop the defensive ult, because they might not. They might be like, hey, the Moon Knight's going to ult. We don't want to pop a defensive ult. Just hold it. Then we'll use our ults to retake the next fight. They don't have these ultimates. You don't want to let that situation happen. But if you're going to cap like a definitive checkpoint, it's fine, because then, you know, you change the spawns, you got more time. Now you could just farm up the combo again, or, you know, Moon Knight could just use his ultimate immediately, try to fish for something. He doesn't have it, then he could farm it up again at the same pace at the Groot will anyway, so it's perfectly fine. But just make sure that you're monitoring this aspect of it so you don't get kind of bamboozled and dump 2 ults for no reason. Now, the next one's a little bit of a cheat because it's not actually a duo, although it could be. It's a trio, and it's the Star-Lord, Mantis plus Adam trio. I think that Adam plus either of these characters is just a great duo, but of course the trio is where you're going to get the most amount of value here. Now, it would be one thing if you just gave 2 characters resurrects that didn't normally have them. That would be crazy, but because it's these three being some of the strongest characters in the game, Star-Lord and Mantis being a top-tier character, Adam closely behind them, and these characters are just phenomenal altogether. And here's the thing that's so powerful about it, and the thing that I really want you to set up if you're playing a trio with these 3 characters is use them all together at the same time. So let's take this example. Let's say y'all are fighting in a team fight with the enemy team. Everyone dies, everyone trades out, and now there's only a couple of people alive on the enemy team, and y'all all go resurrect all at the same time, and then y'all all come out together, soul bond, focus the same targets. You know, Mantis is gonna damage boost the Star-Lord, Adam's gonna shoot at it, Mantis is gonna shoot at it, Star-Lord's gonna shoot at it. You just delete whoever's left. And so what you could do here is a fight that y'all lost on paper, y'all just flip into a win, which is just so freaking nuts that you can do that with this combo. It's actually insane. Not to mention, you could do something super proactive, like everyone resurrects, the Star-Lord and the Mantis like all in somebody, trade out again, Adam resurrects them again, and you know, you could just do this to a point where it's like the opponents are losing their minds because they're like, we killed Star-Lord, okay, we killed Star-Lord, or there's another goddamn Star-Lord. It's just so insane. Now, the way that this works the best is y'all make sure that y'all are super communicative about how you're going to use your ultimates, because you don't want to like pop Mantis Soul when your plan was going to resurrect, or like you don't want to pop a resurrect individually as Star-Lord when Adam was going to team resurrect. So you got to make sure that you're not doing like things off pace with each other, and you also want to make sure that when you all resurrect, you have the same targets in mind so that y'all can just singularly delete someone, because if y'all are all focusing the same person, they will literally die like almost instantly because of how much damage output y'all have and the damage increase for Mantis as well. I truly feel like this is the most powerful 3 characters that you can run together with the synergy. It's just absolutely absurd, and something that I think just people can just run because it's good just without the synergy. So yeah, definitely something that I would highly recommend running it up if you're in a trio. It's amazing. Now, the next duo that I want to talk about is one that really benefits one character to the point where that character just turns from like an A tier character or a B tier character to an S tier character, and it's the Black Panther plus Magic. And I do understand that Psylocke gets the synergy too. It's nowhere near as strong as what it does to Black Panther. And keep in mind that the reason you do this synergy is because of how busted it makes Black Panther. Because everyone knows how strong a really good Black Panther is, right? They just dash a million times. They're really hard to interact with. I mean, they're basically teleporting, and it just is super hard to deal with. Give that Black Panther a recall that gives them health back. It makes it basically impossible to shut them down. They can go extra all in with their combos because they know at the end of their combo, they're just going to teleport back. And it doesn't really even matter if the magic isn't particularly good in this combo. If the Black Panther is good enough, he's going to take on so much aggro, so much aggression. It's going to allow the magic to basically slip in scot-free. If the magic is good, now it's just over for the enemy team. It's just GG. It's so freaking busted. I can't stress this enough. If you're a great Black Panther player, scour the world for anyone that will play magic with you, because you're just gonna just destroy. I mean, it's actually insane. But one of the things I would suggest, and one of the things I had to do, is make sure that you actually rebind that recall button. Mine was on C. It was like awkward to press. I moved it to a different button that's super easy to press, because you want to make it so it's second nature. I know that you don't always do it, but you got to make sure that when you have it, you change your entire playstyle. The entire way that you take engagements need to be different because you have it. Like, you can do some weird stuff like javelin dash, 180 dash, 180 spin kick, which could leave you like stranded, right? That could leave you stranded normally, but it's not in this situation because you can just recall. So you do like a set combo that's just going to do a crazy amount of damage and then just recall out, and that's the plan at the end of it. So it's super strong, gives you a lot of flexibility, and I think is so good in the right hands with the right Black Panther that you could just farm, like free farm. Now, the 5th best duo is actually not a synergy again, but it's something that's becoming very strong in the meta, is actually Cloak and Dagger plus Loki. This is going to be really busted in a triple support composition, but still really good in a duo support composition. And how it works is the Loki copies the Cloak and Dagger roll, and typically you want to do that first because it's a bit easier for the Loki to set that up when he does it first. And he pops that first, and he, uses the Cloak and Dagger roll like normal. He's going to keep his entire team alive. And then the Cloak is going to pop their ult. And then by the time that that's done, the Loki's already at 40, 50%. And rinse and repeat. You just rinse and repeat over and over again. If you have a third support ult, you could pop that in between. And yeah, it's just ult into ult into ult. It's just a chain of ults forever. No one ever dies. It's so freaking disgusting to play against, but also incredibly busted. Not to mention the combination of Cloak plus Loki is just really good against a lot of nonsense. Being able to fade your team out of danger one time with Cloak and then protect your team with totems that just let you survive anything give you a lot of mitigation. You can deny a lot of ultimates that way. You can deny a lot of plays that way. And then you just have this back pocket. Oh, everyone's just going to be immortal for all this time. It's so absurd. It's so strong. You just got to make sure that you're on the exact same page. And that's the thing that I would say is most important here is because if you just set this up with a random person, it's really easy to mess up, who's ulting, when they're ulting, protecting each other, making sure that, a powerful ultimate comes your way or a play comes your way. Both of y'all could easily pop totem and pop fade at the same time, right? You want to make sure that you're not wasting this utility, when you only need one. So you want to make sure that your communication is super on point and that y'all never mess this up. You'll never double support ult. You'll never double ability use. And if you have that down, you're just going to be this unstoppable bagline that's really frustrating. But what I will say is that you gotta be a little bit careful of Magneto ultimate because it can kill Cloak and Dagger out of her ult. Now, you could have your own Magneto bubble you potentially, if you're playing in a trio or a Magneto does have it, you can make sure that you're not popping it into a Magneto, which is something you could do, or you could set up something kind of cheeky, which is like a Cloak and Dagger popping it, flying towards you as Loki. When the Magneto comes in to try to ult it, you totem it. I know that that's pretty cheeky to do, but the Cloak could technically go from, one totem to the next, make it so that they're protected by the totem because the totem will protect them from the Magneto ult. That's something that you could do, but it's something to just keep in mind. Just keep in the back of your mind, and I would say that ideally you would want to make sure that there's something you could do about the Magneto ult or you wait until it's baited out. Now, funny enough, the next duo is actually not a synergistic duo, but one that has innate synergy, and it's Magneto plus Wolverine. So, I've talked kind of ad nauseum about how strong Wolverine is, how good Wolverine is at farming tanks. He's basically a menace in this meta that demands an answer, and one of the things that can shut him down is crowd control. Things that want to mess him up, things that want to hook him, things that want to stun him. All this stuff can really be problematic for Wolverine. And Magneto can just bubble it. He can just bubble his Wolverine's engage, make it so that this character can ignore the stuns. He's tanky enough to ignore the random damage, and he just gets to do whatever he wants. That's basically what he gets to do. And I cannot stress how strong just that little bit of help to Wolverine allows him to go so much further every cycle in, and you can basically almost match that cycle together. Between Wolverine's engagements and your bubble cooldown, you could almost sync that up pretty perfectly, and then you can just calm that every single time. When Wolverine goes in, you're extra aggressive on Magneto as well, either putting a lot of damage into the thing that Wolverine takes back, or putting a lot of damage into the things that are trying to help the thing that Wolverine kidnapped. So, poking supports, kind of zoning them away and making it so that they cannot prevent your Wolverine from just free farming this person. Super, super great. One of the things also is Magneto is his general playstyle. I would call him like a wrangler, like a cow wrangler, where you're kind of herding the cows, right? You're pushing enemies kind of where you want to. Someone pops out over here, you're putting pressure there, they move to the other side. You can kind of create scenarios where your Wolverine set up on a high ground perch somewhere, and you're basically trying to put yourself or apply pressure in a way that puts enemies right where your Wolverine wants them to be. Then the Wolverine drops, you bubble the Wolverine, and yeah, it's a free fight win. Super strong, super busted. Both the characters are also extremely meta. I think this is an amazing duo that's pretty underrated. I mean, Magneto can enable a lot of characters from Black Panther to Magic to a ton of other tanks, but Wolverine in particular is a character that he just needs that tiny window to get away with highway robbery, and he's gonna just completely take over a game. Now, this next duo is a little on the nose, but it's super busted. Rocket plus Punisher. I think that, in particular, this is one that's just set up with randoms a lot, but I would encourage you to set this up with a duo partner, because when the Rocket gets to take the initiative and they kind of understand when you want it or in what situations you want the rapid fire, that is best case scenario, because there's a lot of moments where tanks are just out of position enough where the second you apply this, the Punisher is going to be able to immediately delete somebody, immediately punish someone for being out of position. And, you know, you combine this with Rocket's additional pocket. He's going to pocket the Punisher while the Punisher is being proactive, and you can kind of rely on that as Punisher, right? Whether you're going in with your ultimate, whether you're using this rapid fire, or just in situations where you want to take like an aggressive off angle, Rocket can play that angle with you and keep you alive in these situations. And being able to rely on each other, you know, Rocket can kind of rely on you as someone that really gets to punish a lot of these characters, and you get to rely on Rocket as a consistent source of healing and damage addition that allow you to punish a lot of these characters. I also do think that giving him Rapid Trigger plus a 45% damage amplification is just insane. Like, you don't even need his ultimate and you can just shred things like crazy. And yeah, it's just a really damage heavy poke centric duo that applies a crazy amount of pressure, heavily pressures tanks, can absolutely just deal with any diver or dueler that comes their way if y'all are constantly playing together. And yeah, I can't recommend this enough, especially if you have a good aimer on Punisher and you have a Rocket that understands how to play their life, how to make sure that they don't ever die, and knows when to pocket, who to pocket at what times. It could be a completely dominant duo. And the number 8 on the list is probably just one of the best duos on the list. I didn't really put these in any particular order, but it's Namor plus Luna. I mean, we all know how good Namor is right now in the highest ranks of play, but especially when combined with the Luna, I think that this is like the duo that can carry you no matter what rank you're in. It's just so strong. It brings so much inherent value. Because here's the thing about the slow squids. If you use them and just throw them on a back wall somewhere high up, they're applying damage from 40 meters away that applies slow damage. So it's just tracking damage that is just slowing enemies. Incredibly annoying to clear and really, really good. Now, if you're up against any sort of dive character, any at all, you throw it on the front wall, like to you, that's looking back at you. So it's not peeking the enemy backline. It's not peeking the enemy far side. It's peeking your team. It's peeking you. It's peeking your Luna. And this means that if any diver comes into your territory, they're going to be shot by this thing that's slowing them. And they can't realistically deal with it. It's really high up. What are they going to do? Stand there and look at it? If they're melee divers, they can't even shoot it. So it's just going to be this ever-present threat that is constantly whittling them away and slowing them down. Combine that with Namor potentially being able to just hit them with the skewer, have all the squids target them, Luna having a slow that if they get slow, they're just going to get one shot by Namor, and the fact that both of these characters are legit S tier DPS, like even without the synergy, they're so freaking strong. They're literally the undiveable backline that is just great in the neutral, great with their ultimates. I mean, come on. This duo is freaking insane. Now, as far as Namor, it's your job to protect your Luna against dive-heavy compositions, but against less dive-heavy compositions or no divers, you can be a bit more proactive on off angles and, you know, even surprising enemies with, you know, squid, slow squid, pop out of a corner, right-click them. They're just going to get slowed and murdered. That's super strong. And you could be really proactive. You don't want to just sit in your backline when you don't have to, right? You could be a bit more proactive. And if you ever get in a bad situation where you have to go into bubble, Luna, it's your job to make sure that you're always healing him. You're always ready to heal him if he pops into that bubble. So you're always ready to, like, bail him out of any situation where he is forced to pop that bubble. Because, like, let's say he's, you know, dueling a Star-Lord on the off angle. If he gets a little bit of heals when he pops into his bubble, he can pop out and win that duel almost every single time because he undoubtedly did some damage to that Star-Lord or whoever it is. So it's really important that y'all are always kind of aware of each other no matter what, even if you're not directly playing right next to each other. Then number 9, a super broken duo. I just had to put it on this list because it's so good. It's Hulk plus Iron Man. This one is just elite, and it's one of the main reasons that Hulk is getting banned, because it's just so good together. It's almost impossible to stop, but a lot of people are locking this, and they're not really playing it right, so let me give you some tips on how to play it. So the first thing that you need to understand is that hit scans can shut down Iron Man. So Hellas can shut down Iron Man, Punishers can shut down Iron Man, and when they want to shut him down, they're typically going to take the high ground. They're going to take an aggressive angle. They're going to try to find an angle that they can deal with the Iron Man, because the Iron Man's going to be playing around rooftops and cover on rooftops, right? Hulk directly punishes this. When people are trying to take these isolated angles to get an angle on the Iron Man, Hulk should be directly jumping these people. And that's why they should be your primary target. You should be jumping the backline supports. You shouldn't be jumping random things. You should be contesting the things that contest your Iron Man, because once your Iron Man is clear, the amount of pressure he's going to create is going to allow you to do so much more. But if you don't contest these like Hellas or Punishers that are taking these aggressive angles and allow them to kill your Iron Man or kind of force him back, you're minimizing the amount of impact he can have. So that's what you should be thinking about as a Hulk. And then as an Iron Man, you want to make sure that you are pinging, communicating, and then making sure that you're constantly applying pressure to the things that Hulk is diving, because you can basically whittle down a backline where the backline's being whittled down, and then the Hulk jumps in, whittles them down even more, and it's super strong. Not to mention, I do understand that you want to pop your ultimate in a lot of situations, but the thing about Iron Man is he pops his ultimate, he gets focused, he gets murdered, right? Even if you're trying to cancel ult or whatever. So you want to make sure that you're really communicating with each other. And if you want to pop an ultimate, you tell your Hulk, hey, I need you to go in, be aggressive, I'm going to ult. Take a lot of the aggro, right? You want the entire enemy team to be looking at the Hulk so that you get to slip in a play, slip in a beam, slip in an Iron Man ultimate. That's really important. And you're ideally kind of like, you're the thing that is doing all the damage primarily. Hulk is the one that's taking all the attention and the aggro from the enemy team, contesting things he needs to, taking a lot of the attention and the pressure away from the Iron Man so the Iron Man gets to do and operate what he wants to. And when the synergy just hits just like that, you're just going to roll through the entire enemy team. So you're like working codependently a lot of times, but ultimately you're communicating together and you're making sure that you're ready to help each other at any moment and you're ready to apply pressure at the same time for set plays. Now, the last duo I want to talk about in this video is actually a trio. I'm cheating a little bit again, and it's Storm plus Cap plus Thor. You could technically just run this as Thor plus Cap, and it's really good, but, I mean, Storm is so strong right now. Why not get the extra benefit and the extra synergy added to that? Because Thor gives Cap and Storm additional damage. Cap, in particular, needs that damage a lot, because everyone knows Cap is freaking hitting pillows. I mean, that's like his one weakness, is that he's hitting pillows. He has good survivability, good mobility, but he can't do any damage. But with Thor added to him, he does a lot more damage with the synergy. Plus, Thor himself is going to be doing a lot of damage that kind of creates opportunity for Cap, because y'all could both be on the same thing. Anyone's out of position, anyone's by themselves, y'all just jump on that person. Storm can spam them from range, and you just delete like everybody. And then Thor and Cap can get super aggressive based on Cap's ult, and I really do think that this combo can be very proactive, and against some enemies, especially enemies that don't have a lot of crowd control, they're just going to get run the hell over. Like, if you're ever having a problem with, like, I don't know, a Hawkeye, play Thor Cap, literally just deny them every single time. They pop out, they peek their little head, they're freaking dead over and over and over again. You're literally hard stomping these people. And even do something like, hey, you might have got some kills, but, you know, the enemy is respawning. Go make a play on someone that's walking back from spawn. Literally spawn camp them. I know that that sounds toxic, but it's actually good, because you can kill somebody as they're walking back from spawn. You kill that Hawkeye again as he walks back from spawn. Then you get to go and regroup with your team, attack from the back, attack from behind, and on a flank together as your team kind of comes back into the fight. It's super powerful. You get to start that fight up an advantage. Not to mention, between Thor can bait out a defensive ultimate if used correctly. You fly high above a support that already used their mobility. You pop it, you pop a defensive ultimate in response. Storm, afterwards, can pop her ultimate and clean up the fight. Now, if you want to start doing some disgusting things, add a Hela to this, and then add a Loki to this with some other random support, and then all of a sudden, you're really cooking. You know, Hela is helping Storm. She's poking from range and, you know, creating resurrects on the Thor and the Loki. It just gets out of hand, okay? But really, it's super powerful. It's super strong. I really do think that this trio is just really strong not to run. Like, Cap and Thor already is very good, and it makes Cap a lot better. And then Storm is already one of the best DPS in the game, and she benefits, and any benefit to her is just going to be good because you want to run her anyways. So yeah, I would highly recommend this for sure. So yeah, definitely something that you should try to do in your games. But all these duos are freaking busted and incredibly powerful. I would highly recommend them. But if there was any duo that you think I missed, let me know in the comments down below. And definitely check out the Marvel Rivals Academy if you're really dedicated on getting better. We have the best coaches, we have the best programs, the best classes, the best scrims, everything you can need to climb and get better. So check it out. Thank you, and we'll see you next time.